I think back when I first started playing League of Legends, one of the most premier mid lane matchups in the whole game at that point was Ahri versus LeBlanc. We're here, 10 odd years later. God, that's a long time to play this game. We still get that same matchup. It's changed an awful lot over the years, particularly with itemizations, runes. I mean, the whole rune system has been reinvented multiple times since that odd time. But still, Knight on the LeBlanc on an AP assassin playmaker, always a joy to watch, and also has the ability to pick off the likes of a Blitzcrank or a Kindred, which can sometimes overstep their safe bounds and get burst out by that assassin in the mid lane.
And what I love for this first game of this series is that both teams have put on the boxing glove. They've given themselves priority in certain locations, and it's about executing now on that. Now, we did talk a little bit about JDG not necessarily the most clean going in early, but if you go to the team fights later on, you go to objective setups, you go to macro, they look so good. And that's where we wanted LGD to really try to find something, try to get something on the board for themselves. But if you do get to that team fight moment, especially with the way that the composition has already been drafted for JDG, they will have all the power. So the eggs are in the hands of LGD. Can they make it to the finish line without cracking a single one? We've got some comfort coming out for game number one. The Kindred is all eyes for me on Meteor. It's JDG's home arena as we get into it now. JDG versus LGD.
That is such a sick skybox as well. The 3D advert in the sky, banners showing the colors there. So Ruler, be very careful about where you step here, buddy. Much easier to land that ward in that tri-brush nowadays. There are some indicators to show exactly where that ward is going to go. But that ward is over the wall. Potential of a hook level 1. Not going to catch anyone.
Actually, I heard some.
There it is.
Rocket grab, and that's a flash. Maybe looking for something as Jin Zhao goes for the rocket grab, goes right in as well. The flame chompers aren't going to be enough. Ruler goes down to first blood, and that's straight on to Meteor.
Because it is before that 5-minute mark, but we kind of tentatively said, yeah, this is kind of what we need. LPC, right, does the 3-weapon switch, uses the onslaught of that Severum, gets himself out of ammo, goes straight through into that route. It's well played from LPC, but still, seeing that weapon coming up next, just not respected enough from JDG's bot lane.
There's a lot of movement from JDG and a lot of pings towards this Rift Herald, so that's the obvious focus right now for them. They did lose that first dragon. We'll have another spawn about 3:15, but this big Rift Herald could be utilized to try to get some more influx into Knight here in the mid lane, or maybe even, I guess, if they want to go back for it after they dive Fearness up here and try to get him. He doesn't have ulti, he doesn't really have any way out, and they have that shred damage. One more Cyclone, but they don't have it. They can't get it. Kanavi taking a couple tower shots, and Fearness lives to tell the tale.
As Ruler half HP, have to flash away from something towards his bot side. LPC also use that flash. This could be a dive incoming.
That is a dive incoming, and Meteor cleans him up, gets the mark as well.
Clean stuff from Meteor and LGD, at least putting Ruler behind, very importantly so. Gets themselves a mark.
Ooh, good flash by Ruler there. Oh, both flashing the ultis.
So, Highchap falling behind a little bit in this lane now as well. Just looking to clear the wave if at all possible. Going to lose out a fair amount. Well, a couple of these. Jin Zhao saving the day, clearing up those minions.
Appreciate Jin Zhao. The stop by, help out. You know, get you a support that can do that. We have the Storm Razor actually now completed for LPC, and Meteor's trying to punish Ruler on the way back. He doesn't have any summoner spells, and this could be another kill going down. Meteor, he strikes again, 2-0-1 on this Kindred.
I think Meteor and crew have managed to keep Ruler a little bit asleep, a little bit napping. First off, kind of didn't really respect the Binding Eclipse, the Gravitum from LPC a little earlier into the game for the first death. And that vision potentially means you can stop Knight from doing his thing. Doesn't have any information on where LGD members are right now. Looking for a charm at best. Kanavi is here. This could be dangerous.
Kanavi was baiting it. That's a big Cyclone, but Knight has to get out backwards. Kanavi now trying to lead them away. And Jin Zhao, he's just on a rampage here. The man's playing like a Chad. You got Fearness in topside. Oh, flashed away from Fearness. Will not end in a solo bolo for 369.
Close run stuff. It's going to be another couple of minions lost to that turret. There is a Jinx ult. Was wondering if that would get thrown out. But one of those fights not going to be so at this point. You two are going to take him down. That second dragon as well. 2-0 and 2, picking up a couple of marks which were harder to come by a little earlier on. Ultimate now into tower for Fearness.
A little bit of a duel going on, but Fearness is going to get that huge shield. Can he get one more smackdown? And he does. Fearless, the solo on a 369.
Threes across the board. Can't quite get himself that kill just beforehand. Sustain comes through. And JDG, they are a little bit behind the curve now. Significantly behind even. Significant gold being built up by individual members of LGD. And despite good solo laning CS numbers, Knight can't quite make that skirmish and bot side river work out. 369 can't quite make things work out in the top side as well. They're really looking towards that first skirmish of the game, whether we can see some of that JDG kind of mechanical prowess come through, because as it stands, feels like a couple of them been caught a little bit napping. Goes into this point, caught under turret, no mana, no cooldowns. Can't really disengage the Mordekaiser after that point.
They are bringing in the flanks, but LGD a little bit caught out here. LPC's just by himself in the pit. Knight's looking, Knight's hunting. He just completed the looting, but on the other side, he got at least a fight going through. Now that Knight was going to go where he can't join in. That means LGD are moving forward. They have now peeled enough for LPC that they have a front to back. He's got chakrams going, and the Rift Herald is now the focus for LGD. They secure it, and what a scrappy team fight from them.
I think they're probably walking away from that one with a bit of an unexpected victory, because why are JDG contesting this one? Maybe you think Knight can do a little bit more in the start of this play, but Knight isn't even in this fight, not really starting to deal damage at any kind of important point. Missing, gets shut down very, very early on. 369 doesn't get a huge amount of value, and JDG feels like they're just going to sleepwalk into a lost fight.
Does seem that way, and honestly, LPC is stepping up in this moment. It's huge, and LGD are going to go from strength to strength from that one and take a third dragon. That gives them so much decision-making power here on the Rift. Hesitancies with a TP on the bottom side, because Fearless going to grab Ruler here, looking for the one-on-one. Now Ruler's out of the fight for a while, but LGD need to follow up Fearless. Ruler's gone, and that means LGD is moving forward. Jin Zhao trying to find an angle here, but so is Hai Chao. Can't get that charm, but this tower will fall.
Okay, let's just revisit that other thing. So like, aha, Ruler's online now. He still has to deal with the Mordekaiser. Fearless does a great job of getting that teleport across, making sure that Ruler cannot escape. And now with the Dragon spawning in 10 seconds, despite losing the initial mid lane out of turret, a bit worried for how JDG were getting easy inroads, they might get themselves a free soul off of this.
That's so big. Cloud Soul going over to a double marksman comp. 369 was fishing, but he will come up with no fish today. That is the soul, but that also means a 6-minute timer for an Elder Dragon. And I'm starting to get the vague whiff of some burgers.
Well, actually, at this point, when you see you know, it's a pretty decent comp with a lot of ranged characters that can stay in range and kite more effectively with that Cloud Soul, with the Mordekaiser, which is one of the best users of the move speed as well. That's definitely something to take into account in that front. But yes, JDG, they would really find themselves in a point where they need to start making themselves some plays now. They can't keep sliding all these advantages away. It's to the Baron they go.
Well, I said we had burgers, and now we're flipping them. 369 trying to get a flank over here on the other side, while JDG's forcing the hand of LGD. This is so like JDG. Let's hand check and see what happens. Meteor's waiting over the side. I think JDG are going to pull back. He's the only one in the pit. Meteor's going to tank it now as well, taking the damage. He's looking for the Baron steal, and now he gets it. Kanavi in that Death Realm will signal the end for him, and LGD with the Gale Force from Meteor. Ruler, you're all alone. And that's huge for LGD, who continue to rampage all over JDG.
Where were you when JDG got absolutely demolished by LGD in this first game? LGD, a team that we've criticized for being imprecise at different points in the game. Sometimes it's the early game, sometimes it's mistakes later on. In this one, they've stuck to their guns, haven't overforced the issue, and now they find themselves in a pretty great spot against the reigning champions of MSI and the LPL.
And I can appreciate the attempt here from JDG to try to just force the hand of LGD, but they picked this fight apart so cleanly.
Well, also, I mean, I think it's great in terms of, if you consider the state of the game and you kind of just put a post-it note over the champions and think, okay, yeah, taking the Baron at this point, you need to force something. But you're forcing a major objective against a Mordekaiser ult and then the Kindred ult as well. Two ways to make that secure that much harder and elongate the fight against better items from LGD. Doesn't work out for them. JDG, it was a low percent chance opportunity, which they handily lose. And now that Elder Dragon, it can't come soon enough. 3.5 minutes, that's not going to be anywhere near the time of like the Baron overlap as well. LGD going to get full use out of this Baron buff, and then they can reset, and then they can go back out onto the map. JDG, this is dire straits for them.
And the rest of this gold here and the rest of the Baron buff is going to give 3 item spikes to Meteor. You're already on 3 item spikes for LPC, but they also could just get lasting damage onto the base of JDG. And while you do get that Rabadons for Knight, it just feels like paltry prices comparatively to what LGD is rocking right now. That'll be a tier 2 down, and Haichao is looking for a charm. You also have Fearness in mid lane, barreling down a tier 2.
Banshee's Veil on the Ahri makes it much harder for Knight to get a burst trade onto Haichao, and also means that Haichao can set up for the double AD carries and that Blitzcrank as well. Very much on utility duty, but in this game has huge value. Now LGD crushing in across multiple lanes on the two of them. You can't really shut down the Mordekaiser. He'll ult someone away, turn it into a 1v1. How much can you do on this bot side? Ruler's getting caught.
Haichao not going to hit one of those, but does a lot of damage anyways. And now he's looking back at Ruler again with the Spirit Rushes. And Kanavi, who's caught out yet again. The charm doesn't connect, but around the corner is Fearness, who is getting this inhib tower here as well. So that'll be 2 lanes busted open by LGD.
Teleport, despite the desperation. Haichao can TP back in. What can Knight do?
Moonlight Vigil forward LPC. Luckily, it's Melio. We got a lot of healing. Knight a little bit worried to go in after that, as he will back away from Fearness, and that should be back stopped. But the empowered back should come out. It's not. Is it enough? He got it.
Or just about gets the empowered back along. I was wondering if it would be denied long enough, but still, LGD clean, considered play. They're not over-forcing. Despite the fact that it might have looked like that in the base, and think, oh, that's a flash blown, they didn't hit the skill shots. They still realized that they were safe, and that's the very important thing there. There was no real threat of a huge engage coming in from JDG. I think Fearness had enough eyes on Kanavi to make sure that the Wukong wasn't making a mess of things, and they also still blew a couple of resources from Ruler. If they hit those skill shots, yeah, it could have been the end of the game. Either way, it was a bit of a free play. Now LGD still in a very good spot, getting their resets, getting the item completions, and getting back out onto the map.
And what a game plan so far from LGD. They knew they needed to focus around what bot lane was going to have. They put so much safety there. They were double warding. They were having Meteor focus down there. Because if you get this double marksman comp off the table or off the ground running, it looks so good. And yeah, Knight's just caught out here all by himself. That's the side lane catch out classic. And Haichao picks up the kill.
It is, but now without Knight, what can JDG do? I don't think they have the damage to defend the base. Even if Knight wasn't wave clear, he was a bit of threat to keep JDG pinned back. They have their Nexus towers, and that's it.
And just like that, LGD on the doorstep of JDG in this game 1. Big triple knockup with the Mega Death Rocket. Got the Lambs with Spike coming out, though. And Ruler just needs to get a little bit excited, but he has no more front line as they've overextended. And Ruler not going to get grabbed just yet. Trying to pop back some rockets. The Moonlight Vigil goes a little bit wide. But in game number 1, LGD with reservation, but clear-cut decision-making will put JDG on the back foot with LPC's performance. They take down Missing one more time. They want these kills. They want the mental diff. And LGD finish off game 1 against JDG.
14th place in spring. That's where we saw LGD last time we left off. Coming into summer, had some mixed results, but they take down the reigning champions in this first game of this series. And it was a good game. Classic bot. This is a really classic bot lane matchup. In fact, Ruler, back when he earned his skill on his skin on this champion, the Zyra Khan versus the Ezreal Karma, that was one of the biggest matchups of the era. Very strong level 1 lane from LPC and Dinjao. And as soon as you get to the point where you get something like a Mikhail's coming in from that support, you're really starting to struggle as JDG to close down something like this Ezreal. I almost wonder if LPC is in a really good spot to have another great carry performance. JDG, they cannot afford to let this Ezreal get a lot of gold, because given this composition, there isn't a lot which can get to him if that initial engage fails.
And while I do think JDG are opting into their style by saying, you know, we're going to make it to the late game and then you're going to pay, that is an opt-in for them. And I think it is a tried and true direction. But after that first game, right, I was kind of wondering if JDG were just going to try to come out swinging. But it looks like they're going to go tried and true. We have a bar of execution that is needed for LGD, but they have gotten a lot of the pieces they need to set up for success. And again, this is a roster that has been so close to finding their first series win of Summer's Play. If they did it against JDG, oh my God. What a way, what a world, and what a future for LGD as they are going to have to scrap it out. They're going to have to try to finish out this second game. You do not want to give those mistakes over to JDG as we're going to be loading into game number 2 now. We'll get those Gyos ringing in JDG's home arena.
You'll notice though at the top of the screen, once again, much like that last game, the gold is not really reflecting what we consider to be quite a strong lead at this point. Meteor does find Kanavi in the jungle, probably going to just queue over that Wolves, will do safely. However, Haichero has a move towards this bot side, has flash, has ult. Ruler does not have ult, very importantly. This could be a game-turning play if LGD choose to pull the trigger.
Knight's coming down. They do land more damage onto Kanavi. Missing, just try to dodge out. Knight is here. They need to know. Okay, now they know he's there. They're going to turn around. LPC can't really get to the fight over here, but he's going to crash this big wave and just try to pick off Kanavi as he can get him. That's the auto attack of first blood for LPC. They're going to find more. Oh my goodness. It's tragedy struck again for JDG. Knight should clean this one up with the power at least. Does he get cleaned up too? He's got the minions. They are blocking. Jin Zhao's trying to chase him down with the root. He'll flash to make sure he can connect it. LPC doesn't have the damage just yet, though. And Knight is the lone survivor of what has wrought in bot lane.
But once again, the big loser of this play is Ruler. Ruler is sat 2 levels down behind LPC. LGD, they have come in with a strategy, and that is make Ruler's life hell. He doesn't have nearly enough XP or HP to outplay this. Haichero probably didn't even need to pull that ultimate at that point. Takes one too many tower shots. This could have been a very clean 3 for none. I understand the need to. I understand going forwards with that ult. In retrospect, it's a lot easier to tell at that juncture. But still, LGD walking away with multiple kills, walking away with taking summoners away from JDG. Kanavi was spotted around this bot side. It's one of the few times that JDG have had a chance to push in this bot side.
That's a big combo with that charm as well in LPC. You might have the ulti, but Ruler wants to clap back a little bit here. What auto attack from Kanavi. That'll be a double kill for the jungler of JDG.
Be very important to get that tower a little lower, particularly because once laning phase and bot side ends, you do tend to go towards that mid lane stage.
Meteor, Hot Blossom onto 2, and that could be it. Meteor gets it onto Knight. Kanavi missing that initial engage spelled doom for the JDG mid laner.
Leads to that Herald being much easier dropped elsewhere, and as you can see, it's heading towards this bot side. More gold to the Ezreal.
Yeah, they could just take this tower if they get a little bit more damage onto it. But that charge could be huge. They don't have the minion wave, sadly,
teleport
though.
behind. They're highlighting that. There it is. Here comes 369. Oh, rather, that's Knight. That's Knight coming in.
That's an early charm, though. The quickness is so big, and LPC's just down. That is big damage, but a double TP in response from LGD. They lose all the pressure around the map. And that's a heck of a trigger pull.
That was, because that could have been a huge play for LGD in regards to getting plates and that first turret bonus onto the Ezreal. They managed to once again shut down LPC at an important point in time. He does get himself that Triforce. Wukong, there's a chance that you lose Meteor for free. Knight, going to spot that in that brush at that point. LPC trying to siege out once again. Second Herald has spawned. Kanavi pulls the ult.
Oh, they found the flank with Kanavi. Big Glacial Prison. They've already taken out Jin Zhao now. There's another TP from Fearless, but here comes 369. It's the double flank, and they're on to 4 members with the ult. No! Oh, he doesn't go over the wall. LPC will flash away. And now LGD are looking for this front to back. Meteor tries to go in, tries to get the True Shot Barrage across, but LPC will go a little bit wide with that one.
Holy moly. So, Jin Zhao caught out of position. Karma has forever been the first target of these engages because she's easy to kill, even if she makes other people harder to kill in her own stead. And of course, that was a little bit what we saw about the worries we have of Ezreal versus a champion like Kasance. Often, something like your Arcane Shift is not enough to see you to safety. Has to use that flash. Will not have that flash available for that next engagement. was in a bit of an awkward position. Pushes up in that mid lane, but the play doesn't happen in the mid lane. LPC has to reposition himself, and now Knight's actually the one caught out.
They're catching out Knight. Haichao flashes for that Pop Blossom, and here comes Meteor to slam down the big old stick. Meteor gets that kill, and Knight gets caught in the side lane. They should be able to push this side tier 3 at least. Was not a lot from that True Shot Barrage. The Rift Arrow is going to be used as a distractionary tool in mid lane for JDG so they can position around this fight. And I just love that we're getting a 5-on-5 here. Meganar early from Fearness. He is completely caught out in LGD. Now Meteor's caught out too. He's going to have to be careful one by one. The dominoes are starting to fall. And it's just the decisiveness from JDG that makes the difference. And they also catch out Jin Zhao. Ruler has come alive in this game number 2.
Knight gets a couple of stuns. LGD can't position correctly. Ruler has to force the ult, but it's not enough to see him go down.
Big knockback from Knight, buying a lot of time. LPC gonna burn that heal, but he comes all the same at 369. Picks out LPC. Big Pop Blossom, but it's not gonna be enough today. Scat of the week from Knight, and that's a full-on ace from JDG.
And suddenly, out of nowhere, JDG spring into life. LGD might have had themselves an angle if they could have arranged their team fight a little better, but Fearness just caught out in the middle of nowhere. LGD, they need to escape the initial engage, and LPC needs to be in range to do damage. Well, they don't escape the initial engage onto one of their targets, and regardless, Ezreal's not there to do damage. Why are LGD positioning so aggressively when their one true source of damage isn't in position? I can't tell you the answer to that one, but it really doesn't work out for them in this fight. And again, wants to see LPC using that arcane shift. JDG knows go time as well. They can focus onto that Ezreal if they so wish. Gives them the green light to continue the siege.
And this is the JDG that we were so fearful of going into game 1 that we never saw, right? They just pick apart team fights. They pull it out of a rabbit, or rabbit out of the hat rather, and able to find a lot of those strengths through that decisive pick making.
Another pick. And
through Kanavi's Glacial Prisons, who he's taking a 1v4 now. A little bit of help from missing, so 2v4. But it's still a lot of pressure subsided from JDG.
Honestly, vision at this point for LGD is, this might stop us from dying. It's very, very different. Kind of the emphasis on what that vision is there for. Not that it makes it any less important, it's just a very different kind of thing, because that vision stops you getting picked up like that.
There's that decisiveness yet again, and I was questioning the Karma early on. It gets picked out yet again. LPC finally shows up. Pop Blossom's gonna go way wide as Missing actually goes down. LPC will get that phase shift out of there, trying to get a re-engage as Kanavi. 369 is the scary member. They do get some good poke on a Kanavi. It's mid lane that JDG want.
Well, 369 once again happy to take a 1vx scenario. Says, okay, fine, I'll just stand here. Try and fight me if you can. At least LGD get one kill back, and that kill does go over to, I believe it went over to LPC. It would have been very important to do so at that point. 369 still has flash, still has ult. Could potentially shut down Haichao here.
Knight's coming around the corner too. These are two that you never want to see when you're all by your lonesome. I'm gonna get away from this one. I try to play as a ward. Can't do it though. Haichao, you get all outed, and Kanavi gets the kill.
Sneaky, but not sneaky enough. Got further than I gave him credit for, at least. But not nearly the same level of Nico destruction that we've seen in earlier games and earlier even in the day. Teleports back in. It's that Baron, which you can't let go down. But Jin Zhao, this Karma is absolute paper tonight on the Syndra.
Meteor's nowhere nearby to even have a say in this contest. That's Baron gone. Kanavi, he wants it!
Not again!
Guess who he finds? It's Jin Zhao again! LPC's by himself against Ruler. Ruler takes him out of the fight, takes him out of the game, and so too falls LGD 1 by 1.
That is unceremonious. I don't know what Jin Zhao's done in a past life, but his Karma is looking pretty bad right now in multiple senses of the word. 0 and 5 taken down with extreme prejudice from Kanavi. Knight dies and then goes, huh, Medjay sounds like a good idea. A bit of a victory lap in that one. JDG really putting LGD to the sword.
The 369 just gonna chase down Haichao here. Is not having a good game too either. And the duo of Ruler and 369 find a lot of pressure even after that fight. That means Kanavi, the king of the picks so far, sets the tempo of this one.
But this one is really threading the needle in just the most like, painful way, just slides around Fearless and goes, yes, my true target, the support I've been killing the whole game. Jinjo is just not able to play League of Legends. While all this is happening, it means that, hang on, that is a clutch ult from Ruler. I mean, he dove solo into the backline to kill his own target, gets away with a slick disengage after that point. JDG might have been half asleep in game one. They are well and truly awake as they put Jinxiao to rest one more time.
Not again. Not like this.
Oh, make it stop.
So I'll just say, you know, karma comes very quickly. Not just the champion, because Jinxiao on that Blitzcrank last game, I think he built up a lot of bad karma with JDG. They just came knocking.
Like, this guy must have like been a Poro hunter or something like that in a previous life, because this Sejuani with that skin is really taking him to issue over that one. The JDG marching in towards the base, still have the last of their Baron buff, still have ultimates available should they wish.
And this is the JDG that was promised, that we've seen throughout this early split, even though they do have that one loss. We'll see Highshot with a nice fight back. He's still got a decent amount of damage coming out from Meteor, and JDG is punished as they overextended in their advantage here, trying to burst down those Nexus towers.
So let's see, I mean, Knight and Ruler are still alive, so it doesn't really change what you can do on the map from LGD. There's a lot of damage ready and waiting should you over-engage somewhere on the map. And as you can see, Knight hiding around the corner using the vision. If anyone gets caught out by Knight, they are 100-0'd completely.
As a stopwatch just purchased for Meteor, at least, you know, maybe a little bit of saving grace there, but we're truly looking at those 3-item spikes being so monumental for JDG now, and it just gives them all the power in the world to move forward, where we know if they have that power, it just looks so deadly. And while LGD, again, reminiscing on game number 1 a little bit, looked so good in that first game, it just felt like JDG didn't ever really wake up for the fight, and now they definitely woke up.
And like, by the time they kind of realized they were in a very bad spot, the damage had already been done. Kanavi,
exactly.
Like, buddy, at some point, you're going to have to answer for your crimes against Support Nation, because Jin Zhao, like, he's leveling a complaint after this one. This one's cyberbullying.
Gosh, it is actually so dirty, and he just, again, has so much health, it doesn't matter. He just can walk up. Even Knight is playing so big. LPC is already out of the fight as Ruler's got the true focus. He's got a tier 2 tower now. Fearless getting engaged on Grand Entrance will not actually connect there. There's a couple tools utilized by JDG, means they back away.
They escape with their lives for now. That was that close to reaching that ultimate threshold execution from Syndra when you get up to those 100 stacks. You get that. You get half a death cap when you get 120. Knight has that anyway. So powerful on the Syndra. LPC very lucky to get away with his life.
Again, JDG overextended last time they were in this kind of position, but they're just looking to take down the last tower and bottom side at least. And try to get another inhib open. As now it's Fearness stacking up the Meganar. Wondering if they can pull the trigger on something and catch out at least JDG with something. Okay. LPC gonna stop the backs. No, you don't get that quick back. But we do actually want to see now renewed pressure from JDG as they have TPs available. They can utilize that so well, and here it comes.
So this half-health turret, Fearless goes in.
Fearless not going to get the engage he wanted. Here comes Meteor, another domino to the party. He got a backline access from Haichao, but one by one they fall just like they were planned to. JDG wiped the floor with LGD, and there's only one last hope. It's LPC, and you're not getting out of this one. The Ezreal had come through for game 2, and we're right back to JDG's home court advantage.
Valiant attempts by Fearless to try and buck the engage by JDG, but they're the ones who are thrown from the saddle. Nexus falls, going to a game 3, and as it always happens in best of 3s, if you don't have the gas in the tank to go the distance beyond one specialized draft, you are going to have issues. JDG have woken up, and they're here to play.
It's so hype. First and foremost, because it was what I got first hyped about, Kanavi's Kha'Zix. Like, this is going to be awesome to watch him try to pick apart this map. But on the other side, I'm always a fan of developmental talent. You know me. But man, to see LPC in this moment, in this split against JDG, having had that game number 1, hovering and going with the Ezreal, another comfort pick from him. And then now in a game that is a make or break moment, grab it out, the Samira. It is going to be a 2v2 tussle down there, and how quickly can both of these junglers get involved early on in these teams. That will dictate the pace of these games, but I expect absolute bloodshed here for our game number 3, and rightfully so here on our Super Thursday. 5 days a week, we have 3 best of 3s. These teams are in a gauntlet in this summer split. And speaking of gauntlet, we finally see the culmination of this one, this third game between JDG and LGD. Let's hear those Gyos roar. You have to find a way to play around for LGD. And speaking of finding a way, they're going to focus holistically on the other side of the map and on to Knight, who's going to go golden after popping the tippers. But Haichao has showed up, and it's now just about who's going to get the kill, and it's Haichao. First blood, finally, at 16:53. Get that second item completion for Kanavi as well, which is pretty big. We'll be back out on the map now, trying to keep some vision game around this top side, but not again. Knight goes with the preemptive tippers. There ain't nothing saving you today, buddy. And Knight will go 0-2 and be the 2 kills that LGD have picked up in the side lane. Argyle stone plate completed for 369, but specifically didn't have a flank ward to come to, so just going to join a front to back. Knight might look for a flank here. A flash tibbers could be the decisive need that JDG have. The LGD would just want to slow roll this one. They do have a pretty stout team fight, and again, LPC needs to wait to get into these fights. He cannot get picked off because he will be the finishing factor for LGD in a lot of this. And right now, we're just getting an okay corral standoff.
So Knight is stood on this blast cone. Watch what he can do with that. There is no vision inside the pit to see Knight hop over this wall. Fearless can get Hullbreaker, but needs to be stood away from his team. Here comes Knight.
Meteor goes
there
in. Jinjiao's trying to connect. They're getting Ruler. Big blade caller. Everything goes on a Ruler, and he stands the test of time for now. The rest of JDG have already picked him up. Ruler is still standing. Ruler will not go down, and Ruler outplays them all.
6,000 damage right into the faces of LGD as LPC is absolutely pummeled by Knight and 369. 2 parts of a greater whole. JDG win their own AD carry battle and take down the opponents.
What a play. Literally just throwing themselves at this Xayah Yuumi combo, and nothing came up to task. JDG now forcing the hand onto the Baron, as they should be able to secure this one. No smite, and that is Kanavi coming away with it, but JDG, more importantly, all those Baron buffs.
They really couldn't have left that any later, could they? That last dragon on the table, in regards to LGD potentially getting that soul, would have been an absolute killer for them. Giving over that much of an advantage would have been very, very difficult. They even up the gold, they get themselves a Baron. They don't lose anyone in that attempt as well. It is just so painful for LGD. It felt like they'd got themselves some advantages. But watch this. LPC doesn't get to play. It's just completely lights out. The only thing you can dodge from these solo laners is one skill shot from Annie. Besides that, it is all direct damage through your Blade World. You don't get to block any of it.
Yeah.
While all that's happening, Ruler has a Yuumi on his back. He gets huge damage through those feathers.
Just the fact that all 3, Haichao, Meteor, and Jinjiao, just threw their ultis at Ruler, and you know, most of them did not connect, and he's just standing there while the rest of the backline of LGD is getting eviscerated. It feels good for a JDG fan, but it feels good for JDG, right? They're being able to pick apart this composition from LGD and play to the strengths of theirs. They are at the point where they thrive. We've said it time and time again. There is a countdown timer when it comes to JDG. You do not want to face this beast in a team fight. And Knight, he's not in a team fight, so maybe he wants to face the beast as Meteor will go ahead and pick that one up.
And Fearless is still in this
Fearless! Oh, 369! Solo Bolo, my king!
How does he do that into a Hullbreaker? That's meant to be the side-laning 1v1 item. 369
He's just built different. Throw those 9s out, baby. 369 on this Cassante is literally just built different.
He literally has built different. He doesn't have a Hullbreaker, and he doesn't need one. And that's so important. Despite Knight dying on that top side, you thought that Fearless might be able to win on the other side of the map too. it will be an inroad for LGD against this Baron buff. 369 clutch solo kill to put the map into fully JDG control.
A tier 2 tower to boot in the end of that one. We got to look at this.
So he gets hit by one, gets aggroed by a couple of those Baron creeps, and he just goes through all of his cooldowns. Like, he's getting aggroed by a lot of creeps, don't get me wrong, but wow, that is a lot of skill shots hit by 369. There you go.
To defend LGD's top laner, and he should actually get picked out here. One more auto, and there you go. Kill given over to Meteor. As LPC is getting chased out by Knight, doesn't go down. We got a fight on the bottom side, though. Ruler will be kiting away as the final chapter from Missing comes through. A double kill rang true, and Knight with a flash gets one back for JDG.
It's still a pretty good play for LGD overall, though. Fairness this time doesn't fall down in that side lane. JDG, they overcommit a little bit too much, and means that they give a bit of breathing room over where potentially they were looking to kind of snuff out the last kind of resistance from LGD. As it stands, though, still 40 seconds till the dragon comes up. All of this is kind of a little bit secondary to this dragon spawn right now. Still soul potentially on the table from LGD. Everyone will respawn by that time. The only thing really missing will be those summoners just using that play.
So I know we said intermission for the Baron fight, but now we have another intermission because you know both teams are fighting this dragon fight about 20 seconds. So let's look at this replay.
This is an encore. It's the same thing, right?
This is an encore.
So it's definitely an encore. Yeah. It's like every time you go to see a band and it's like, oh man, they played their last song, and they know they're gonna come out for another time anyway. This one, LPC, we've seen him go down before. That's maybe the encore he didn't want. The only two things he can block with his Blade Wall, he's stunned for, so he can't get them off. Back into this dragon now, though, but JDG, they're wiped down. Cannot let LGD get that soul.
Do not want to give over that sustainability to LGD in their composition. Meganar for Fearness popping up here. Again, LPC needs to buy time in these fights. The Samir is no use to anyone dead, and they just need to get catch-outs. Ruler will be playing so safe, and he has been for so long in this game. Tibbers is available, the dragon down. It goes over to Kanavi. You got the final chapter ringing out here, but you got Jin Zhao trying to run away from Kanavi. He does get away, but on the back line, you got 369. Pop Blossom here, though. That's pretty big, but Ruler is still full health because he got untouched in that. LGD are running for the hills, but the hills have eyes, and those eyes are red like the heart of JDG.
That'll be the fight which will really put the nails in the coffin of LGD. Couple of members dead. I don't think they can stabilize the map. They're going to lose inhibs. Even if the game doesn't end here, it's likely a Baron to the side of JDG. I don't think LGD can survive to another dragon. Hell, they might not survive another wave.
There is no more time to wait. There is no more time to give. LGD with one last gasp effort here, baby. If the minion wave was there, you got a little bit of a push power from JDG, but you get one more fight, it feels like, from LGD, and they just have to find some map as JDG have their eyes right on Baron.
Yeah, Nico wave clear just about enough to clear out that wave. You see LGD through to limping through to potentially one more fight. LPC has not been able to play this game from laning phase to team fights. The Samira has failed in what LGD had set out to do with it. Meteor running towards this Baron. I don't think he can get there in time. He has no flash either.
I don't think he can either. They're just going to find 369 on the back to the pit. As Knight's actually waiting to pull the trigger on the other side. He has Tibbers coming up very soon. The all-out pop. Jin Zhao getting all of his health bar taken out. 369 just uses his dash out of there. Fearness hopping over the wall as LGD trying to capitalize on an overstay from JDG. They won't find anything.
And with that, they're now staring down. Significant gold advantage. Baron buff coming out as well. Good resets coming from JDG. There really isn't much for LGD to take in recompense for that either. Going back to this fight, though, once again, it just feels like LGD, they've not been able to get this Samira into the right position, doing the right amount of damage. Standing on top of the Tibbers during this fight, too. LPC is half HP before they even really get to commit to anything. 369, sure, he's getting low. Maybe you can think of a reset there, but Samira just doesn't have the staying power. You don't have a shield, though. You don't have a Bloodthirster. And then you just die outright.
Yeah, even with that Inferno trigger, not even getting enough healing to survive one auto attack from 369, it is all out for him. So Navi now will continue pressing this snowball into the face of LGD. We have Fearness in the side getting 1v1 by Knight. Holy cow, that was so close. Fearless biting the bullet.
You know, it's going poorly. If the one person you could abuse in side lanes before this point is suddenly winning against your hull breaker champion, Knight has himself a teleport and the flash as well. Fearless might have to go back to base himself. Picks up his, he has 3 items of course, but it's still not helping him survive against that Annie. JDG running rampant across the map.
And it just fits their style so well from that game 2 advantage they had, right? Like, all they needed was to survive. And we said that from the get-go, and they have done so, right? And we see the strength of their composition coming to life. We're getting to 3, 4 items now for them. And LGD are struggling to kind of keep up. We're about to get 3rd item for LPC very soon, but will there be enough time left on their life clock here is the remaining question.
I find it very hard to believe. LPC doesn't have any MR anyway, and has felt like it's been more than enough for just Knight pressing his buttons on top of the poor AD carry. Has himself that Lord Dominates regards. That item very good. Deep teleport from Haichao. They're going way behind Ruler. This is it. This is the last gasp. What can they do with it?
I'll try to catch Ruler out. He has the ghost, but no flash. Will immediately pop that ghost as soon as he smells trouble. And Haichao didn't find that angle they needed. They got to deal with 369, who's in their base right now at their Nexus turrets.
Haichao, he's backing all the way off. Maybe wondering if someone from JDG is coming to hunt him down, but he's not going to be there for the flank. He's not even recalling. Haichao, get back to base.
Go
Nico?
for the log.
Go home,
go for
Nico!
the log flank.
Go home!
Go to your home. Your home is destroyed, Nightmara. You can't go home because there's nothing left when JDG come to town. LPC gets shut down. Your hopes, your dreams for LGD, your possibility of taking down the Titans of JDG go straight out that window. And JDG roared alive in game 2 and smacked them down in game 3, taking a 2-1 victory.
That was the flank of nightmares. I get that you're in a very difficult spot. You've dug into this one corner. Lots of gold in the disadvantage as well, but that one has got to feel awful for Haichao, who on the whole was solid, but struggled to find the inspiration where it really mattered. And it felt like at the death of that series happened once more.
And I just look back to that game 1. They had, for LGD, such a good game plan, and they executed on it so well. But it's still JDG.